when I first made the decision to make phone calls in order to generate business, of course, I had a little bit of fear. And since I've started using Vulcan 7 and for my daily phone calls and participating in the pregame show, Take 52, what I've learned is a general consensus is that that's the majority of, the reason why most agents don't pick up the phone is because of fear. And what I've learned is that what really pushed me through that is to be comfortable with being uncomfortable. So I dove in. Yes, I did have that level of fear, but I just figured the only way to push through that is to dive in. What I did was I got in contact with other agents that were already seasoned with phone calls, because one of the biggest things is making those phone calls is handling those objections. We want to be good at at least prolonging that conversation when you do get those objections. So there was work done behind the scenes in order to get to that comfort level and to build those skills. And consistency is what really is going to set you apart as well, right? From the next agent or the many agents that are making those daily phone calls.
What's going on, everybody? It's me, it's Aaron Wittenstein, and I'd like to welcome you all to Vulcan7 Roadmap. That's right, we teach you agents across the country how to take 2, 3, 4, 5 listings a week. And we have amazing agents across the country that we speak with on the regular basis. Like my friend here, we've been chatting up a little bit, Timothy Gull out of Plymouth, Michigan. Hello, my friend, how you doing today?
Hey, Aaron, I'm doing great, thank you. How you doing?
I'm doing pretty good, for all intents and purposes. I never knew it was pronounced that way, by the way. For all intents and purposes, I'm doing pretty darn good. So, talk to me. What's new and exciting? I hear you just got back from a trip.
I did, yeah. So we were pretty fortunate to be able to enjoy Hawaii over the last couple weeks.
See, that's nice. Like I was telling you, that's where I want to go with the kids when they're older, right?
Right. Yeah, yeah. All that traveling to get there, well, at least from Michigan, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, that's definitely something that you'd want.
No, that's excellent, man. Well, welcome back. I'm happy to have you on here, hang out with us for a little bit.
Yeah, it's
So,
great to be on here. Thank you.
oh, you're very welcome. You're very welcome. So I know we were chatting a little bit before we popped on here, and the one thing that grabbed me is you mentioned about the fear of the phone. Okay. Would you do me a favor? Would you elaborate on that for me for a little bit?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So when I first made the decision to make phone calls in order to generate business, of course, I had a little bit of that fear. And since I've started using Vulcan 7 and for my daily phone calls and participating in the pregame show, Take 52, what I've learned is a general consensus is that that's the majority of, the reason why most agents don't pick up the phone is because of fear. And what I've learned is that what really pushed me through that is to be comfortable with being uncomfortable.
Yeah, definitely. It's because it's how can I put this? Is that you're here, right? And you want to get to here. What's the only way to make that happen, my friend? So push, right?
To push. Yes,
It's just a,
absolutely.
so. At what point, like, were you scared of the phone at some point, or were you just like a natural, just dive in, call it a day?
So I dove in. However, yes, I did have that level of fear, but I just figured the only way to push through that is to dive in.
Okay, so you got a new agent that's coming in that is just signed up for Vulcan and they're ready to get going. Now, when you say like dive in, like what does that mean exactly? Like, what does that look like to you, or I should say, how did you do it?
Well, obviously, you got to prepare a little bit, right? So what what I did was I got in contact with other agents that were already seasoned with phone calls, because one of the biggest things is making those phone calls is handling those objections, right? So if you hesitate at all, the other person on the phone is not going to probably want to stay on the phone with you, and that's the main thing is we want to be good at at least prolonging that conversation when you do get those objections. So obviously there was a lot of work done behind the scenes in order to get to that comfort level and to build those skills, but that's definitely repaid back with, more conversations, being in front of more people, and the more you become confident, it's repaid with the increase in those skills.
All right. So, we all start off like I was here, right? You start off here and you slowly and slowly and slowly and slowly, and eventually, you get to average. You don't have to be the best. You just, you know what I mean. You just have to be the most consistent. Would you agree with me on that?
Absolutely, and consistency is what really is going to set you apart as well, right? From the next agent or the many agents that are making those daily phone calls, because if there is no consistency, all of that other things that we mentioned doesn't really apply, right?
100%. So, what does your consistency look like on a daily basis?
So I look at it as much as how many contacts per week.
Mm.
I start with the broad picture is for how many contacts I want to make in a year, and I work backwards. So as long as I'm putting in how much time it's going to take per week to get those contacts, depending on what else I have on my schedule, I'm looking at anywhere from 4 to 6 days per week prospecting on the phone.
Okay. So let me just get this straight. You go back, like you say, I need to get this many contacts for a year. Is that correct?
Correct.
Interesting. I've been doing this a long time. I've never heard that before. So, what is your goal? Like, so for this year, how many contacts did you need to make this year to, I know the year isn't over yet, but to hit your goal?
Yeah. So my contact for the entire year was right around 4,520 for the whole year.
Interesting. And so 4,520 for the year breaks down to how many per month? That's what I can't do math in my head right now. So
Yeah. Yeah. Let me break it down. I
yeah,
have
I
all
think
this
that
on.
would be I like this.
Yeah. Yeah. I have everything on a spreadsheet, which I don't have in front of me right now. But I could always bring it up.
Because you got 4,520. You divide that by 12. That's what?
So that works out to be right around 16 contacts per day is what I'm
Okay.
looking for. So the way I get those numbers is what I want to make, as it really depends on the average per sale price as well, right?
Of course. Of course.
Per unit. So I start with a dollar figure of how much I want to make that for that year.
Okay.
And then that breaks down to an average of per unit. So, and my number is 300K for the year.
What's your average price point over in Michigan?
In Southeast Michigan, since I'm in multiple counties in
Yeah.
Southeast Michigan, it works out to be right around 250K
Okay.
per unit.
Got it. Okay. So and then no, I've it's interesting because of the way that you're back ending it almost, where it's like you have this big, heavy looking goal, but when you break it down to be able to get 16 contacts a day to make over $300,000 in commission, I think that's pretty awesome, don't you think?
Absolutely, because when you look at that big number at first, it can be intimidating, right? But
Hmm.
then when you start working the formula and working backwards and getting what you have to actually do every day, it
Yeah.
doesn't seem like that much, right? And I did say, like, my contact goal is 16, but I always do more than 20 contacts a day.
Oh, wow, okay. So, and I'm just thinking here in my head because if you take and like I said, I'm just going to go back to that 16 because I think that's a magical number right there. And I would assume if you're hitting 30, I mean, the market is a little bit different. You know what I mean? It's not all what we probably
Correct.
expected it to be. All right. So you break it down to that. Now, talk to me about what your typical prospecting set. Let's even break it down more granular then. Okay. Let's take it hour by hour. What is that prospecting? Hour one, hour two, hour three. What does that look like?
Yep. Hour one expireds.
Okay.
Then I move over to for sale by owners.
Okay.
Now, depending on what I have going on for the rest of the day, but if I'm satisfied with my contacts, I could stop there. If I'm not satisfied with how many contacts I made, obviously the lead follow up is always there.
Yeah.
Um, but for new contacts, I'd like to expand on that. Then I start on my sphere of influence and complete those the amount of contacts I actually want to make for that goal for the day.
Got it. Now, if you were to pick one, and you were only allowed to pick one type of source to call for the rest of your life, what source would that be?
I'd say expireds.
Expired. That's my guy right there. I love me some good expired. What objections right now are you seeing in the market, and how are you handling them? Like, what are the big ones you're seeing right now?
The biggest objections that we're seeing is we're gonna stay with the same agent.
Okay.
The one that you just gave me, that we're just gonna sit on it. We're not gonna sell right now. We decided to wait. That's a big one.
Yeah.
Those two are actually the biggest ones that I've noticed right now. I'm trying to think of one
Sure.
other one, or I remember hearing maybe one other one or two other ones.
So when someone says they're going to stay with the same agent, which I never understood, like that one always
Right.
blows my mind. It's like, hey, they didn't do a good job the first go around. What were they holding back on you for, right?
Yeah,
So,
exactly.
so what are you saying to those people?
What I ask them is that obviously I confirm that I'm hearing them.
Yeah.
I can appreciate that you'd like to, you know, work with the same agent. However, let me ask you a question.
Hmm.
What did that agent cover with you or tell you that they're going to do differently this time around to get your home sold?
Sure.
If they say nothing, then it's like, well, maybe you should have another opinion. It can never hurt you to interview more than one agent, because it really comes down to that agent's daily activities of
Right.
what gets home sold.
Exactly. No, that makes sense. And it's like yeah, what I always say is, it doesn't make sense to have a second opinion to keep everybody honest. And I found, and that's perfect. I mean, both ways, are really good to go right that way. In your market right now, are you seeing a lot of people kind of freaking out because of interest rates? Are you handling that? Would you consider that a condition, an objection? What's your opinion on that?
Yes, we are hearing that, and that can be a tough objection to work through, right? My opinion is that is more of a standard interest rate that we're seeing right now, historically, right?
Right.
Now, lifestyle can really be a determining factor for somebody to actually make that move at that point. So kind of shift it to where, hey, let's stop talking about numbers and interest rates, and what is your real reason why you wanted to move in the first place? Because obviously you did. If you were on the market just recently, you just expired this morning, what is that root reason of actually why you wanted to initially sell?
Sure. It all comes back to motivation, right?
Yes, sir.
So, all right, so let me ask you this. I love asking this question. You get a new agent, walks across your your office. They knock on your door and they're like, Timothy, give me one piece of advice that will change my life. What is it? What's one piece of advice that would change my business?
Be consistent in this business, and it'll definitely repay you, not only of what you see as far as your income goals. However, it repays you in your life as well in
Mhm.
general. Lifestyle is a huge contributing factor of why I love this business.
So, all right. So, I want to say thank you so much for being on here, my friend. And thank you. Like I said, I just working everything backwards from from the top to the bottom. I think that's so darn important. So, thank you very much, Timothy, for hanging out with us today. I really appreciate it. Hang out with me for 1 second, and
Yeah.
everybody, we look forward to seeing you at the rest of Vulcan 7 Roadmap. Take care.
Thank you, Aaron.
You're welcome.